Hello. So in this writing notes video, I'm going to give you another teaching strategy. Now this is one that I actually find works better when I'm teaching online, though you can do it in the classroom as well. And this is an activity that involves rewriting something. So in particular, I find this effective with my business writing classes because one of the projects that I teach is called the correspondence packet, where they're writing a number of short day-to-day messages, memos, emails, things like this. And so I will give my students a memo or an email or whatever it is that's not well written, that's got problems. And then I will ask them, usually I do this in a discussion forum post. So I will put up the message itself and say, rewrite this according to the principles that we've learned in this class. Make this an effective business communication. So again, part of the reason that I find this easier to do online than in the classroom is because then students have some time to think about it, to reassess it, and on a more practical level, they can retype it. Whereas in the classroom, if you're in a computer lab, it's perfectly fine. I've done this in computer labs and it works perfectly fine because students can copy paste the message and then revise it as they go, or they can rewrite it. And students tend to find it a lot easier to type out these messages than to handwrite them. And if you're in the classroom, I mean, if your students all have laptops or something like this, it can work. But if they have to handwrite the thing, it's a little bit harder and a little bit more impractical, especially if you want to take a look at the work that they've done afterwards. It's a little bit more challenging to have them rewrite something, turn it in hard copy, and then, so I find it easiest to do this through a discussion post. The idea here is, I think, is very straightforward, very simple. You're asking students to rewrite something that has rhetorical problems, or that in some way violates the principles that you've been learning in the class, whether that's business writing, first-year composition, an advanced rhetoric course, whatever it is. And again, I do this with my business writing students using a memo or an email or something like that, some sort of formal business communication that's very short, very easy to work with. In first-year composition courses, I've done this just with a paragraph or an introduction or something like that, and said, this is not working well as an intro, or this isn't working well as an argumentative paragraph. Revise this to make this work better according to the principles that we've been learning. And this gives students really good hands-on practice in not just employing the principles of writing that we've been learning, but also identifying failures. So you can fit this in well in something like a rhetorical evaluation, because you are asking them to analyze and evaluate what's not succeeding. But you can also put this into other types of projects, almost any type of project where you're teaching something like paragraph structure, or for my business writing classes, I teach about direct and indirect approaches to rhetoric. I teach about writing positive or neutral messages, writing negative messages, and writing persuasive messages. So any of these things you can make this activity work with depending on what you're having students rewrite. So it's a really very flexible activity. And again, if you and actually one of the other big benefits of doing this through something like a discussion board is that if students can see the way that their classmates have rewritten things, that gives them other ideas in terms of how they could approach this writing task.